all reserved. Yes, they are. You know what?
Hey, Tim. How are you? How are you? Yeah, Todd. Todd, that's all.
culmination of 13 years of hard work and determination by the graduates themselves, as well as tremendous support from their families, teachers, counselors, administrators, and countless others who gave them a helping hand along the way. In that sense, then, this is a celebration for all of us in the Fairport community. I congratulate all of you, members of the class of 1997, and those who have helped them reach this important achievement. Before we begin, please let me introduce those on stage. To my right, Mr. Paul Maslin, Senior Class Advisor, Mrs. Joyce Jaffe, Senior Class Advisor, Dr. Meg Keller-Cogan, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Mr. John Tiberio, Member of the Board of Education, Mr. Raymond Blank, Member of the Board of Education, Mrs. Christine Heisman, President of the Board of Education, Mrs. Deborah Tangoy, Vice President of the Board of Education, Mr. Kenneth Harris, Member of the Board of Education, Dr. William Calla, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Timothy J. McEllerin, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Labor Relations, Mr. Bob Shaw, Graduation Speaker, Senior Class Advisor, and Mrs. Pam Rosbicki, Senior Class Advisor. Thank you.
Great pleasure to be able to stand here tonight, looking out at all my peers and say, hey, we did it, it's over. I think I speak for all of us when I say I'm swelling with pride, not only for myself, but for all of us in the class of 1997. Whether it has taken 3, 4, or 5 years to be here tonight, every one of us has had some difficult times, and we should all be proud that we had the strength to pull ourselves through. You guys have been incredible, from our first place floats, to record-breaking prom and ball participation, to the unity and support that's shown through all year from Megan Marcus, her family, and her friends, so that they would never give up hope. Even though we are sitting in anticipation thinking, just give me that diploma so I can go party. Deep down inside, many of us may have that bittersweet feeling as we close one chapter of our lives and look to open the next. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the class to thank those people who have helped us reach this landmark in our lives. First of all, our families who have been trying for so many years to be supportive of our individuality and who've probably put up with a lot of garbage as we've made this journey. Our teachers, without caring people who love their work and the students, even if they give too much homework, school would have been a miserable experience. Hopefully, no one feels that it was, because these people work every day to help us grow in knowledge and in strength. Many of them may be why some of us can sit here tonight. Finally, I won't forget to acknowledge that web support system called Friends. I bet we all have at least one person who deserves a huge hug for being there, even on the days when we're mad at the world. Before I turn this over, I would like, in front of their families, to give a general thank you to everyone who has worked on the class committee. You guys have yourselves to thank for our class's successes. Without you, we officers would have been nowhere. I believe this has been one of the best classes to come through FHS. I hope you all have great accomplishments to speak of at our 5-year reunion. Thank you, and best of luck to everyone.
Memories fondly linger, calling back. of what words I might choose to open tonight's ceremonies, the burden became a great one, and I certainly would have paid more attention last year had I realized that this official duty would fall to me. Then I thought back at my own graduation from Albany High School in 1970, and I realized that at that time I did not know what, or certainly who, the Board of Education was. So the pressure is off, I need not be memorable. But since I've been given this opportunity, it is far more an honor than it is a duty. Let me quickly tell you what you do mean to us graduates, us, your community. I certainly could quote some words of wisdom, but we all know that all we ever really needed to know we learned in kindergarten, and for some of you that was at Brooks Hill, Dudley, or Jefferson Avenue. And that since then we have been inundated with life's little instruction books and chicken soup for all sorts of souls. So I asked my children what famous person I might quote tonight, and they came quickly up with Rosie. Still searching, and since school's been out and I've heard more of your stations than mine lately in my house, Jewel says, dreams last so long. And Dave Matthews says, celebrate we will, because life is short but sweet for certain. Then I realized that it is you I could quote. Open the yearbook, and under any picture, Peter will tell you that endless opportunities lie ahead. And it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog, according to Patrick. And to follow your dreams and forget your falls, said by Amanda. I could go on, but as you can see, you know it all and you have said it better than I. So quite simply, we, your community, love you. I don't have a graduate in my family this year, but I feel as if I do. Because you are from old playgroups, library story times, birthday party guests, teammates, and neighbors. You are the ones who have gotten our butterfly kisses. You are Fairport's best and brightest. You will take us, your community, with you to great places, and you will enrich it each time you return. It has been our pleasure to work with you and to invest in you. Learning is lifelong, and we don't expect you to stop. Our community depends on you, and greater communities depend on you. Congratulations, parents and teachers. I applaud you because these graduates are yours. And congratulations, graduates, because you are ours. Thank you.
Mr. Paddock, Board of Education members, faculty, parents, guests, and members of the graduating class of 1997. Before you stands one of the most fortunate people in the world. Fortunate for many reasons, personally and professionally. Professionally because I had the privilege of serving as interim superintendent of schools since the class of 1997 began at Fairport High School. This evening is an ending, a conclusion of a process each member of the class of 1997 began some 13 years ago, the process we call formal education. Throughout that time, you have worked and studied for this day, the day when you had completed your studies and you would receive a diploma which attested to that fact. Now that day has come, and the conclusion of your formal public schooling is at hand. But just as certainly, tonight is a beginning as well. What were those 13 years of education for? Why did you go through 13 years of schooling? Let me suggest that they were not to prepare you to end a portion of your life, but they were to prepare you to begin a new life. You do not end your life as a student as much as you begin your life as an adult in an adult world. With this new position, which you assume this evening, go many rights and privileges, but with it also come many responsibilities and demands. The very fact that you have completed your studies and are part of this audience tonight mean that the last 13 years have prepared you to accept those responsibilities and to meet those demands. Take what you have learned and use it at this commencement Use it as you begin your new life as an equal partner in this world. Use it as you meet new challenges. For some of you, tomorrow will mean a job and the responsibilities of earning a living. For others, tomorrow will mean continuing your studies, and yet for others, service to our nation. Whatever course your future takes, it's my sincerest hope that you will look back on your years in Fairport as having prepared you to meet the challenges that life will present. As you say farewell to friends and faculty, you say hello to tomorrow. Grab hold of that tomorrow, and using what you have learned in the past, build it into a bright, shining future. I wish each and every one of you the happiness of a productive life, the respect of your fellow human beings, and the love of your family. May the future be yours. Best of luck and congratulations to the class of 1997.
Over the past 2 weeks, I think at least 30% of the words I've uttered have been along the lines of, I can't believe we're finally graduating. Ask my family and my friends. They're probably sick of hearing it. This is one of those moments that seems to hover on the distant horizon of the future for an eternity, until suddenly it is upon us, and then it is gone. It's like reaching the peak of a mountain. You climb seemingly endlessly, turning each bend only to find the trail leading on at an even steeper pitch than before, until suddenly the trees fall away and you find yourself with a clear view of the magnificent landscape for miles in every direction. And this moment of our graduation, like reaching the peak of a mountain, is too special to just let slip away. Instead, it demands that we stop and enjoy the view, so to speak. Look down at where we have been, and ahead at where we are going, and all around at the beauty and wonder that surround us. It demands that we stop and pass the water bottle around, share some trail mix and stories, and finally, with a little reluctance, pack up and head on. So let's take a minute now, as we all sit together for probably the last time, to look back at where we've been. I still remember my first day of kindergarten. It was raining, and I was wearing my little rain jacket with whales printed on the inside as I trudged toward the school in a parade of 5-year-olds and their mothers. I remember a school play in 4th grade when I got to wear high heels, kickball games, field days, and science fairs where almost everyone got a blue ribbon. Then there were sludge tests, the outsiders, and Chiquita banana stickers. I'll never forget weekly music lessons because oboes are great instruments that are always in tune. Nor will I forget a certain 14-hour band trip bus ride on which all we had to eat was generic Cocoa Krispies. Swimming will always hold a place in my heart, from the 6 a.m. practices to the spaghetti dinners and exciting meets. High school, for each of us, was filled with its share of big memories. The senior ball and junior prom, sports victories or academic accomplishments, concerts and plays. But just as important are the small things, like rides to school every day with the faithful carpoolers in the old Mazda with a squeaky door, or corny inside jokes about penguins. When I look back at the past 4 years, I find a golden web of interconnected memories. Memories delicious with layer upon layer of subtle detail and emotion. The smell of the pool, the room full of laughter at a downstage performance, the warmth of Brotherhood Sisterhood Week. These memories will always bring a smile, a little feeling of comfort and happiness, and they're priceless to me. I think that each of us holds our memories dear. Just look at the number of pictures we've taken over the past month or so. At the senior ball, the yearbook signing on the hill, the last day of classes, Darien Lake, the bash, even tonight. All those photographs are attempts to preserve memories in some tangible form because they're so important to us. Because when you think about it, so much of one's life consists of memory. We are living in a present moment that is delicately suspended between the past and the future. The future is filled with an airy uncertainty that leaves much room for both hope and fears. And the present is a fleeting moment that we can never quite catch, so we are left standing on the solid, unchanging past, on our memories. Memories form a safe and secure foundation, comforting because we know that they will always be there, will never change. Even memories of events that were filled with anxiety, like the time you locked the keys in the car, or the all-nighter you pulled to finish that big project, are comforting because we know that we've survived them and moved on. Tonight, we all have before us a long climb toward a bright future, but our footing will always be in our memories. There's more than just that in memory, though. Memories are precious to us because we have purchased them with the moments of our lives, with the one thing that we all have that is truly irreplaceable. Each day we make a deal with time. We give up 24 hours of our breaths and our heartbeats, and in return we receive whatever memories we can create in that period. It's as if we dip little fragments of our lives in brass, like they do with first baby shoes, so that we can never again use them, but have them always to look at, perfectly preserved. And we don't have a choice. No matter what we say or do, time will take from each and every one of us everything we have. By now it has taken our childhoods, maybe our innocence. It will take our youth and finally our lives. But it will leave us with memories, and those we have some control over. So make it a goal each day to get your 24 hours worth, to drive a hard bargain with time. Alexander Smith, a Scottish poet, wrote, "A man's real possession is his memory. In nothing else is he rich, in nothing else is he poor." I agree with him. But I think memories are more important than even that, because they can be shared. Look around you. Each of us is surrounded by people who are inextricably a part of our memories of the past 4 years. I can't think about chemistry without remembering a lab partner, or about swimming without remembering my lane buddies. By being part of a team, or a club, or group that works and plays together, by kind words and laughter, loving, friendship, and kinship, we connect with each other and leave our influence. And as we strike out into the wider world after tonight, we will have more chances to influence more people in bigger ways. Many of us will have families and share our memories with children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews, much as our families have shared memories with us over countless Thanksgiving feasts or lazy Saturday afternoons. And I have no doubt that many among us will share their talents with even wider circles of people. Some will make laws to improve our country or develop computer programs that make work easier. Some will design and build houses or landmarks, or develop medical advances that help relieve pain. Some will find ways to protect our natural environment from us, or develop stronger and more efficient material. Some will create music that gives people goosebumps, or paintings that are feasts for the eyes. Some will tear peals of laughter from even the most melancholy of souls, or inspire deep reflection with their writing and acting. Some will comfort the injured and sick. Some will teach our children as our teachers have taught us and prepared us for this day. We will all find a way to continue to weave ourselves into the cloth of the collective human experience, that cloth of myriad colors and textures in which everyone finds comfort against the cold confusion and uncertainties of life. And all of those ways will involve sharing our memories and experiences. Really, Sharing memories is achieving a kind of immortality, of keeping the essence of what we stand for alive, even after our bodies are dust. It's a way of rebelling against the certainty that time will take everything. It's the reason life is rich and exciting and growing richer and more exciting every day. So here's to the last memory that we will probably all share with each other, our graduation. It's here and now, whether we believe it or not. Savor this evening, because we've worked long and hard to get here, and we should be proud. Take a minute to thank everyone who has helped to make good memories over the past 4 years. Family, friends, teachers, coaches. Laugh and smile, dream, truly believe that the world is perfect, and then prepare to move on. There are many more mountains to climb. Always reach for a taller one. Work hard, play hard, live hard, love hard. Fill yourself up with the rigors of life. Thank you, Mom, Dad, Kelly, and everyone who sits here before me for the memories who make me who I am. And good luck until we meet again. Maybe it will be at a reunion, maybe at the grocery store when we least expect it, or maybe only in a memory or a dream, huddled together under that cloth of collective human experience. Then, maybe we can share stories and trail mix once again.
Superintendents Calla and McEllerin, Dr. Keller-Colgan, Mr. Paddock, members of the school board, two of which I might add are former students of mine. I decided maybe I'll continue teaching till you guys fill the entire school board. Senior class advisors, my esteemed colleagues sitting amongst you, parents, friends, relatives, and finally members of the class of 1997. I thank you all, especially you guys seated in front of me, for the opportunity to speak to you today, for the faith and the trust that you show in me. For some unknown reason, the class of 1997 has adopted me into the brotherhood, their brotherhood, more than any class that I can remember. And I want you to know that I will be forever indebted to you for that. Thank you. I'd also like to take a minute to thank my wife, who last night surprised me by flying my son and his girl into town to hear my speech. I'm a pretty lucky guy. To build my speech for you today, I have drawn upon an image from my youth. We're talking early 1950s. An image that remains with me to this day, one that I have never been able to let go of. Let me explain with a short anecdote. When my brothers and I were quite young, we used to drive my poor mother nuts in the summer. So much so that she would eventually resort to sending us off to camp or to the lake to restore peace in her life. When we were about 7, we used to be packed into my grandmother's car for the 40-minute trips to the lake, where we spent many summer days in the waters of Canandaigua. On the way, however, we would, of course, proceed to drive my poor grandmother nuts, to the point where she resorted to distracting us with quarters for each white horse we could spot, or by pointing out landmarks that might quell our obnoxious riots in the back seat. I have never forgotten one of her distractors, and I want to build my speech around it today. As we pulled onto Main Street in Canandaigua each trip, our sibling ragings would come to a predictable halt as we waited to pass the one huge mansion with a candle lamp burning in the front window. And each time as we passed that house, we'd insist that my grandmother retell the story of the mother whose son had not returned from the war and the candle she burned in his honor. For the remaining 15 minutes of our journey, we would pester my grandmother with the same questions, no matter that we had asked them all many times before. She would tell us of a mother's love. She would tell us of family loyalty. She would tell us of never giving up, no matter what the odds. And she would tell us of the importance of symbols to remind us of what to value in our lives. We would sit numbed from our rages, eyes wide with curiosity, our young hearts yearning with hope for that mother. Anyway, enough about my youth. What I thought we might do tonight is try to light some candles in the windows of your souls. And then we'll let you loose in life to see how long you can keep those flames burning. Based on my life experiences, I've chosen 3 issues I think that are worthy of your attention as you make your way into our fast-paced world. So let's try to light some flames. First flame I'll suggest to you today, I hope we've already lit in your lives. That's a flame for learning. I know you're tired of assignments, tests, and teachers rambling on in front of you, but take a minute to position learning in a respected place in your life, if you haven't already done so. You graduate today from one of the best high schools in America, and if you've taken advantage of its wealth, you are on your way to college experiences that will be marked by excellence and by superiority over your college classmates. I know this because for 26 years, our students have been returning to tell us how well prepared they were for college. But what we have taught you is not really important. What's important is if we've taught you to love learning, to be lifetime learners. You'll discover quickly after you've finished your formal education that a life without ongoing learning is dull, almost like a flame with too little oxygen, and it often becomes cluttered with materialism. I urge you today to make a commitment to learning in your lives in a permanent way. I urge you today to light a lifetime flame to the learner in each of you, and to never let that flame go out. By the way, when I see you guys years from now, I'll be checking. The second flame I'll propose you light today is a flame for tranquility and peace in your lives. Let me explain. This world of ours is indeed accelerating at a pace unprecedented in history. With such advances comes stress, burnout, fatigue, and of course, ineffectiveness. Let me attempt to help you ward off assaults on your effectiveness by suggesting that you place in your lives a high respect for pause, a healthy regard for silence, and a favorite location in nature that will center you, ground you, and replenish your spirits. You will need to find ways to pause from the rigors of your lives, and you will need to have that pause device in place before the need arises. So I urge you to light a flame in your soul for moments of personal tranquility that will serve you in time of need. For me, that peace comes from nature. It's simple and it's unwavering in my life. All I have to do to recharge my spirit is get myself away from shopping malls and nearer to a lake. I learned this from the Romantic poets I teach each year. William Wordsworth warned us, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. And in his Westminster Bridge poem, speaking of nature descending upon London in the early hours of the morning, he adds, never saw I, never felt I, a calm so deep. Punctuate your lives with pockets of silence. Have in place in your lives your own way of centering your values, a way of balancing your ambitions with the yearnings of your soul. I think you too you'll find that balance close to the earth, close to tranquility, close to silence. Light that flame in the window of your soul today and never let it go out. The third flame I'll urge you to light tonight comes from a passion in my life and speaks of one of the most profound oversights we as a civilization allow. I wonder if I can persuade you tonight to light a flame in the window of your soul for caring for and about children. On the surface, that may sound too obvious to you. You're all probably thinking, who wouldn't care about children? Well, sadly, I think mankind has not done a very good job caring about the younger segment of itself, and I see this as one of the greatest ironies of our times. As our fast-paced technological society thrusts us forward, it seems to me that everyone is just assuming that, well, the kids will grow up on their own in spite of our busyness, or that the young will become more independent earlier, or even that youth will survive just because of its vitality. Well, we don't have to look far in our world to find shocking examples of how wrong-headed this thinking is. Let me give you a few examples that haunt my peripheral vision as I make my way through modern life. When I spoke to you in April, I mentioned the concentric circles of families that surround our core self. To certify my point here, let me give 3 examples, each from a closer circle of family. Remember my Afghan family from my Peace Corps experience? Well, in my recent Friends of Afghanistan newsletter, I was shocked at the condition of children in that war-torn country. At this very moment in Afghanistan, there are 2 million orphaned children and hundreds of thousands of child amputees due to that war. Hello, what's wrong with that picture? A country of 10 million people with 2 million orphans, a quarter of which are child amputees, all because the adults can't agree on their religious beliefs. On the international scene, we aren't doing a very good job for our children. On a more national level, let me give you a surprisingly shocking example right from within our own state. Jonathan Kozol, a writer who has devoted his life and career to the issue of mankind's indifference to children, wrote a book recently called Amazing Grace, in which he traces the plight of children growing up today in the South Bronx, the poorest congressional district in the nation. In this part of New York City, where 9 train stops away, the richest people of our world go about their plush lives without a care, children grow up a lot differently than we do here in Fairport. In fact, Mr. Kozol found out while residing in the South Bronx for 2 years to write his book that far too many of the children there just happen to have asthma, and that the incinerator for all the New York City hospitals just happen to burn daily in their neighborhood. Mr. Kozol himself even came down with asthma during his tenure in this neighborhood. Hello, what's wrong with this picture? How can we stand by as part of a civilization that allows such neglect and indifference for children? How can we stand by and ask children to start life with such disadvantage? Let me bring the family circle even closer to home with another example right here within our own lives. Every day for the last 26 years, I've driven out Monroe Avenue from my home in Brighton to teach in this incredible community we know and love, Fairport. One thing that has punctuated that ride each morning scares me. At the stoplights each day, I have come to witness an increasingly familiar scene. A parent, usually a mother, gazes distantly past the steering wheel into probably the 3rd business meeting of her upcoming morning. Sometimes that meeting has already started on the cell phone. She is clearly preoccupied with the stresses of her upcoming day. In the car seats are the children, often infants, each with a passive stare on his or her face. For those brief moments at those traffic lights, I see no words, no warmth, no familyhood, and I'm afraid no loving exchange. I wonder each morning where, in that woman's day, she will find time to cuddle her child, to read to him, to sing to him, to teach him civility and subtlety, to light the candle in his tiny soul. And if she hasn't the time, will the dad find room in his day to cuddle his child, read to him, sing to him, teach him civility and subtlety, ignite the candle in his tiny soul? And I also wonder if those same expressionless faces will end up in my 12th grade English class, never to raise their hands, never to embrace their opportunities. I have come to hate those stoplights because they make me fear for a generation of children raised at the convenience of adult needs. A generation of children raised more with the grease of convenience than with the oxygen of love. My examples may be harsh, and I'm sure they can be counterbalanced with examples of the warmth and love that you all grew up with. But they are real, and they won't go away until a generation comes along with a real conscience for children, one that knows their nuances and their needs, and one that places the highest priority on those needs. And if my examples don't convince you, let me briefly present some scientific evidence. Probably the most amazing news I encountered this year appeared in the February 3rd edition of Time magazine in an article entitled Fertile Minds. This is an assignment. I bet you thought you heard those words for the last time. In this article, neuroscientists have discovered that the electrical activity in the brain cells actually changes the developing physical structure of the brain. And also they know now that this neural activity is in fact driven by a flood of sensory experiences. So in simpler terms, and I quote, deprived of a stimulating environment, a child's brain suffers. And conversely, rich experiences do produce rich brains, end quote. No cuddling, no reading, no flame lighting becomes synonymous with diminished brain power, which clearly translates into diminished opportunity. Hello, what's wrong at those stoplights each morning? One year in one of my classes, while we talked in brutal detail about slavery and what an awful scar it had left on the fabric of the American soul, a girl cried out, almost unable to stop herself, "How could they have let that happen?" I ask you today, will the children of tomorrow cry out with the same disbelief when they look back at how our civilization neglected its most blessed gift, its children, all the time not even getting it, thinking their own needs were more important than the children's needs? So, what flame do we light in our lives today that will counter these trends in our world? I would urge you today and every day of your lives to devote yourselves to the needs and the nuances of children. I hope you will do so with your own children, but I think the responsibility of each of us has to go beyond our own immediate families. Become a generation that cares more about children than money. Remember Wordsworth's line, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Become a generation that cares more about children than about weapons and sports and TV and even computers and technology. In fact, I dare you to take all the child development and psychology courses your college offers. How ironic that we study so hard in life so we can make money, but we raise kids without any significant preparation. I beg you to read this article. Become a generation that cares more about children than about material possessions, cars in your garages, stereos in your shelves, new golf clubs in your bags. Become a generation with a conscience for children rather than an indifference for children. Light a candle in your souls today for children and never let that flame go out. And finally, before I begin to close, let's light a flame in the windows of our souls tonight for Megan Marcus. And let's hold hands for just a second to vow to never let that flame go out. For her unwavering loyalty to her son, I have loved that lady in Canandaigua for 50 years, and I've never met her. She refuses to give up on her son. She refuses to give in to the convenience of turning out the light. She continues to this day to, as British poet Dylan Thomas said, rage, rage against the dying of the light. I hope you too will rage, rage against the dying of your lights. So on to the business of saying goodbye. I hate goodbyes. I never find the right words to let friends go, especially good friends like you have become for me this year. So to say goodbye, I'll borrow from another poet, one you might well know better than those mentioned already, Bob Dylan. Let's face it, graduations are kind of Bob Dylan moments, all tangled up in blues. For the last month, ever since you asked me to speak to you again, I have become stuck on one Dylan song when I think of you guys. It's a song about a terminating relationship. It's called You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go. Some of his lyrics apply to this moment. I considered having Roger get up here with me, but Blues Fest this is not. So I'll just read a few lines that sort of remind me of how you guys came along into my life and now how you move on out of it. Needless to say, this would work a lot better with a real Bob up here. It goes something like this. I was on a hillside blooming crazy, crickets talking back and forth in rhyme, Blue River running slow and lazy. I could stay with you forever and never realize the time. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go. You're gonna make me wonder what I'm doing, staying far behind without you. You're gonna make me wonder what I'm saying. You're gonna make me give myself a good talking to. So I'll look for you in old Honolulu, San Francisco, or Ashtabula. You're gonna have to leave us now, I know, but I'll see you in the sky above, in the tall grass, and the ones I love. You're gonna make us lonesome when you go. Thanks you guys for this whole year, for everything you have been to Fairport and to me. You guys are awesome. You guys are family. You guys are Fairport, and you're gonna make us all lonesome when you go. Thank you.
Amy Hall. Stephen Hallis. Charles Hamill. Megan Hamill. Celine Hannah. Jennifer Hansen. Elizabeth Dawn Hardison. Eric Stephen Harrison. Hastings. Brianne Marie Hadlow.
Jennifer Hinman. Mark R. Hines. David J. Haber. Jennifer